well, I'm back. I'm trying something different today. Specifically for the next few days, I'm gonna be trying to upload a more regular video that's gonna be a lot shorter, rather than going over sort of the entire game like I do. So this is just to break it down into more bite-sized chunks that I think are more easily watchable, and it's like easier for me to produce since I don't have to spend time, like an hour or two, just to like sort of go over a series in full. So today we're going to be talking about CES versus RRQ. I'm really going to focus on the early laning phase, especially around
I mean,
the early kill that is going to be given over to CES. I think it's like a level 3 or level 4 kill. Happens around minute 30 into the game. So to start about this, obviously got to talk about draft. So what you see from CES is you see the uh, what should be the Riven top lane, Yone jungle, Tristana, and Galio bot with the sorry hiccups, with the Twisted Fate mid. From RRQ, you see the Nasus Ashe bot lane, Fiora top, Kali mid, Shyvana jungle. This isn't how it's actually going to turn out in game though. We're going to talk about that once we hop in a second. But you can see that they are. Oh, that is how it is. They put Young top in a different game. My apologies. But so talking about the draft a little bit, right? Yone and Shyvana are both clearing junglers. You really want to get them to 5, where you do a lot. Yone really wants that ultimate to be able to get those ganks off, right? You have your ability to sort of get in there with your second ability, no, third ability. You dash over walls, and then you use your first ability to get the other dashes. You get a few dashes in, you ultimate. You hit them with a few auto attacks. You hit them with your second ability, and then you snap back, and you hopefully get the kill. Comparatively to Shyvana, she really wants to hit level 5 because that gives her a lot of stacks, especially for her ult, giving those extra passive abilities. And she also wants that level 5 dragon form, which is what really gets her moving, especially without the game and gank setups. This is important because it means that especially the bot lane is going to have a lot to do early game, right? It means that especially early game, you can be really aggressive because you don't have to worry about a jungle gank. This obviously means you need to like jungle track very well so your jungler doesn't get an early gank off through like level 3 cheese gank with Shyvana, like trying to flash in, hit like a chilling smite, slow like a Galio so that he can't get out because Galio's escape options are relatively limited if he doesn't have flash. So if you can force out flash early in the lane, especially with like the Nasus and the Ashe using your slows, you sort of have pressure there. But that's not likely to happen, so you just need to make sure you're taking good trading patterns. Other than that, the other reason that level 5 is really important with the CES comp is the Twisted Fate ultimate with the Galio ultimate, right? Twisted Fate can really teleport anywhere on the map, and then you have Galio to sort of immediately follow him up with that Galio's Rock entrance using Twisted Fate's Destiny. So you're looking at that. RRQ on the other side, they're level 5. They've really only got that Ashe ultimate for global presence. So you're sort of looking at that to try to make sure, maybe counteract some of the Twisted Fate, some of the Galio shenanigans that they may be trying to do. So sort of getting in the game here. As we skip over the casters. So we're really going to be focusing on bot lane, and especially this early lane phase, because it's really important and I think it's really interesting. While we're at it, we'll talk about mid lane for a little bit, but it's not really super interesting. It's a melee versus ranged matchup, so you're kind of getting zoned off the wave level 1, especially with Twisted Fate, who has pretty good auto attacks. But we're sort of getting into the bot lane. So the bot lane is super interesting, because you'll look what CES does, right? Because Exosin, early up in the lane, was positioned here in the brush, it means that they're coming down, and it means that CES is going to try to pull the wave down so that Exocid doesn't really have a good spot to sit in, right? Because you don't really want to escape that direction because you're available for the jungle. You see that Yone, they have vision on Raptors here, so they know he's not starting Raptors, and he likely likes to start red. He's probably going to start Krugs. Yone doesn't really get much from the blue buff. The only junglers that get a lot from blue buff are like Olaf, Shyvana, Morgana, and even some Morganas have been starting red. I think that's probably the worst setup though, because you can get that really good double clear with their pool on Morgana, but that is kind of risky level 1. That is sort of the trade-off you take with blue buff. So you're looking at that. But what you're going to see here is, look at how the wave moves, and that's really important. Because like if you look at the wave, it's really hard to see on the minimap here, But like the wave is usually like right about here. But look at how far down the wave comes. And this is sort of the focus of this video, because this is how CES is really going to take advantage of this early laning phase, by taking advantage of how they can position the wave and how they can move the wave around. So now that you see this, right, they have to sort of, because the wave's down here, look at how the enemy minions move. Once, right? See, the enemy minions aren't attached onto the champion. They're attached onto the minions, which means that, so if RRQ doesn't want to get sort of zoned off this wave of level 1, they have to come down and they have to sort of contest this level 1 fight here, which is really bad for them, and they don't want to do this. And since Viper gets hit with the bomb, he has to back off. Tristana starting bomb level 1. That's going to be a key detail later. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Tristana started bomb. Sorry, allergies. But this means that Duckby can easily go in and hit a dash. So now we know what every single champion in the bot lane has started level 1, right? No, we don't. We don't know what Nasus has started. So we know that Tristana started bomb, Galio started dash, Ashe started volley, but we don't know what Nasus has started yet. And we know that bomb and volley are both, as well as dash, are probably all on cooldown. But Galio's gonna hit this. He's gonna get the knockup, and that's just a good amount of damage. So especially in the tank 80 lanes, right, which you're gonna see a lot of, like a tank and a squishy. You got your Ziggs Galio, your Ziggs Set, Ziggs Gragas, Ziggs Nautilus, you know, like any sort of squishy and a tank. What's really important is not the tank's HP, it's the squishy's HP. Because you're never going to really want to try to kill the tank in lane, especially if it's Galio. They know that the Galio didn't go Font of Life, so he's sort of lacking that sustain. So you're sort of feeling good about like being able to chunk down the Galio eventually, but you really don't have a lot of burst damage to kill him, right? He just sort of walks through this pool, takes like 3 Ashe autos, and is still above half HP. But you see, because of that early laning phase, right? Ashe got a bunch of free poke in early, right? Here, she gets a crit, which is really nice. But because Galio hits in, he gets this aftershock, he gets this auto. Doesn't get the aftershock, actually. But he gets the taunt, or the dash gets the auto. So he's gotten a lot of damage in onto the lane. That said, it's still a health positive trade for Exosin and Viper. But Exosin is really kind of worried about this. However, they see the escorting up here. This is what I was talking about earlier, right? You want to make sure you're not getting like cheese ganked level 3 from Yone. You don't want to give over free kill. Now, the other thing right here that is really important is that Genza is going to get Honey Fruit. If you look at Genza's health, he's below half right now, I'd say. But because Genza has Honey Fruit and he has Sweet Tooth, this is one of the big values of Sweet Tooth, especially in the lane. Right, like look at how much health he gets here. He gets a bunch of health because Sweet Tooth gives you that 20% health healing boost. So that's really useful in lane. So what you're going to see here is now they can sort of come back out to lane without having to worry about getting chunked out of and beaten out of lane. The other thing is Exosin and Viper can't really go get the Honey Fruit because that means that they will have to give up wave presence here. And if you give up wave presence, especially as an Ashe with Sickle, against something like a Galio with Relic Shield, they have a lot better wave control with the ability to execute and the ability to kill minions at half HP or lower. Even though Galio only has one charge, he'll be coming up on another one before the next wave hits. So he has the ability to try to like control the wave, maybe try to get some sort of a shove going, maybe start stacking waves. It's really like you don't want to move off a wave here because that's an awful position. Again, you'll see Ashe. So now we know two things, right? First of all, Ashe went volley, Ashe went hawk shot. Nasus went pool. We don't know what his other ability is. And Galio and Tristana are about to hit level 2. And now we know Nasus went Wither, he went pool. Both of Nasus' abilities are probably on cooldown until about a minute and 5 seconds. Wither's probably on cooldown until like a minute and 10. But Galio and Tristana both have their ults up. Ashe doesn't have Hawkshot, and we know she doesn't have Volley. which means that right here, Duckby can look to go in on Ash. Boom. So this is bad positioning from Nasus, in my opinion. He's trying to get out of the bomb here, right? But in doing so, he opens up his support to getting dove on by Galio. And since you know Galio started dash, you really need to make sure you're protecting your support. So, the other thing is, you'll notice, we know Genza doesn't have jump here, otherwise he would have jumped on Exosin immediately. So, the question is, that means, not necessarily the question, but that forces Genza to use Flash to get this kill onto Exosin. Also, just something that's sort of not done in NA, but should be done more, is you'll notice Duckby gets the Ignite going, Genza uses the Exhaust, but before the Ignite can kill the Ashe, Duckby starts walking away and starts autoing the Nasus to try to force him off. Also, again, this is a big reason why Relic Shield is good. So Genza is pretty much dead here, but look at how much health he almost gets away with this. Like, if he could almost get away here if Galio had any ability up and he didn't have Wither. So because the Wither and the Pool came off cooldown, it means that Nasus can get the trade back, but he has to expend Flash. So, all in all, it's a 1-for-1 trade, but you feel really good getting that Tristana accelerated early. This also means that Ashe isn't going to be able to use some of her sickle cooldowns, right? When you are trying to keep pace with a Relic Shield as a Relic Sickle player, you really need to make sure that you're getting those procs every 10 to 15 seconds. Because if you're hitting 30 seconds, that means that you're not getting all the procs. Ashe does get all of her procs here, but she's dead at 107, and she comes back to lane at like 120. 130 actually, right? So that's 30 seconds where she isn't able to get a proc. And so that means by 140, she will have lost at least one proc of Sickle. Boom. And that's why that's important. The other thing about getting this early kill on Tristana that's really important and really useful is even though she dies, Tristana now has the ability to wave clear safely if she doesn't have flash with her bomb and her jump. So this means that, right, this Galio can then go into this sort of 130 level 3 roam. Now that he's gotten boots, you'll see that he moves top lane, right? Since they have vision on Shyvana, they know where she is, right? And they're getting mid-prio. And since Tristana can wave clear safely, she's got that sort of Ziggs ability now, right? The reason that Ziggs and Lux are so good is that they can wave clear safely. So this means that this Galio can sort of go up here and to get this level 3 roam off, right? And while they're not going to get... Did they get a kill? Yeah, they don't get a kill on to hide here, but they're able to steal away some of Shyvana's jungle camps, right? Making her farm less efficient. Also, it drags the Ashe out of lane. Let's see if Ashe gets any procs. So 133, 138. So she gets a proc there, it looks like. No, it just looks like normal farm. It's hard to tell if... It's really hard to tell if Sickle procs here, but I think it does. At least once. But like, you can see that they're sort of denying the Ashe Sickle proc, which means that her farming is a lot harder. And if you look at this, like, right, even though she's like 100 gold, she's already 50 gold behind Galio, which is not good, right? That's not good, that's not what you want to see. So yeah. The other thing is, like, you can see that this Tristana, even though she just cleared the wave, she's pretty much even with Nasus. So, like, you've sort of gotten this advantage now into the game that you can really take advantage. Like, you sort of now have this advantage that you can, like, exploit, especially within the game. Anyways, that's sort of what I wanted to talk about this game. It's going to be about 14 minutes. Have a nice day. Bye.